Welcome back again to Superhero Time. We are going over in this series the episodes of Kiramager, and I talk about each episode after I watch it. So that's what you're watching. So we looked at episode 0 last time, like Tokyuger, even Maji Ranger. And this is episode 1, which really this doesn't feel like the first episode because it's so heavily implied, a lot of the stuff, and it doesn't really like re-explain things. So like, anyway, this is episode 1. So the episode starts off basically where the last one ended, with the Yodon forces. Is that what they're called? The Yodon forces? The Yogurt forces are attacking Earth, and it's not really ever made clear why they're attacking Earth. Like, we get to see the villains and we get to, you know, get a little conversation between them, and they just don't like Earth because it sparkles or something. It's really weird motivation to attack Earth. You know, maybe they're going after the crystals. Who knows? But basically, our 5th hero has been found. He's this kid that we saw in the first episode who likes to draw a lot of stuff. I mean, obviously, it's gonna be this guy. Go figure. And so he gets taken to the battle. He gets taken to the front lines where everybody is kind of running around. And instead of transforming and helping them, he decides that he's gonna run around with them and draw them. This character, it's so annoying, and the catchphrase, it's so grating. I hope that they kind of pull back a little bit on that. Maybe have maybe 1, 2 if you need of his catchphrase per episode. And he's not a very good artist. A lot of times you see people like on the internet who will draw or, you know, have commissions open. Whether or not it's good, you can look at them in a year's time and you can see that they've improved at least. There's maybe a handful that I've seen online where they are consistently, anyway, this is getting off topic. But they made this faucet monster based off of like our faucets, and they even have a line about the iconography of certain, you know, like everyday objects or certain, you know, well-known things. So I'm excited to see what the gamut of monsters are going to be pulled from that, you know, kind of goes along with a faucet. Like maybe there's a doorknob, you know, monster. Just keeps everybody locked in a building. So anyway, after the fight, after they defeat all of the foot soldiers and everything's sort of kind of, you know, cool. So once they untransform, Red actually knows who they are, and he's like, you know, oh my gosh, you're this surgeon, you're this actor, you're this well-known track star. And then he gets together and he's like, oh, I don't know who you are. And I love that they're on one character. I love it because in this group, he's the nobody, not the yellow, and it's fun to do. But what kind of annoyed me about this scene was they all then notice that he has one of their changers on as well. It's weird that they untransformed in front of him because I'm not a big fan of the series where they don't keep the identities a secret. And it's really just kind of like fortunate that they were, you know, in front of him and he ends up being one of the heroes. But I'm sure in an episode or 2, you know, everybody's gonna know who they are. They're gonna transform in front of everybody, and I don't know, I like the secret identity aspect when they have it in Sentai. Like Kyoryuger did the same thing where they didn't even know who one another were, and then the worst character in that show, King, completely messes that up and immediately untransforms and introduces himself, and then he gets everybody over the course of the next 3 episodes to reveal their identities to him, and I was just like, ugh. But yeah, basically the red gem, the red crystal, says that this kid is the one that he wants to be partnered with, and he doesn't know why. There's, you know, something about him that he likes, and you find out that his drawings, he actually drew something that hasn't ever been, that's not real. And the princess, she sees this and she's, you know, like, oh my gosh, like nobody in our kingdom can do this except for my father, which is weird because all he did was, you know, just pluck it from his imagination and draw it. And she says that nobody else in the kingdom has an imagination. It's kind of like being on Toku Twitter. But basically with his imagination, he can will, with the power of the crystals, things into existence, which is actually a really cool idea. It was really fun how they had, you know, he transformed each of the other 4 heroes' crystals into something too, and it was like one at a time, you know, showing them. And really good payoff when we get to Yellow, and he just, because he doesn't know who this guy is, so he just gives him something that's yellow. Here's a, I don't know, it's a bulldozer, scooper, whatever thing. And it's really cool to kind of like see him transform for the first time too, because it's a little more special when he does it, that he's a little bit more sure of himself this time, and to immediately take the sword or the blaster and put it together, kind of reminded me like Kamen Rider Gaim, where there's nothing ever really said about his weapons. He's just kind of, you know, like he has the belt on and he like feels the slot that the lock seed needs to go in. He, you know, like looks at the sword and realizes there's this thing on it that he can, you know, activate on, you know, and I don't really remember Gaim, it's been so long. But no, this episode's really strong. I really liked it, and it makes me super excited to see where the show's gonna continue. It's a very good, well-rounded first episode, but only if you've seen episode 0, and if you just kind of jump into it with episode 1, I can see how this might be confusing. It was even raw how like everybody during the monster fight, you know, where they're fighting the faucet monster, contributed to some degree, and you don't really see that, you know, like you don't get to see them all in their individual, you know, vehicles and attacking and doing a certain thing. Like they were throwing stuff into like, you know, his drain to clog it. They were hitting the faucet on his head. I mean, they were even like slicing off his arms, Jesus. So I hope that they continue something like that. I know they probably won't. They're gonna introduce, you know, new crystals that are gonna do the thing for the episode, and then every episode after, if they ever show up, it's just gonna go into the main mecha that they create, you know, the Gatai. It's not really probably ever gonna deviate too far from that unless there's something else with this specific crystal that they're gonna, you know, use that, oh, it's a purple one. Yeah, woo, let's see what this one does on its own. All right, and the comment of last episode for episode 0 comes to us from HPG on Patreon. HPG said, I do really enjoy having the red added later. Decaranger did it too, right? It did, and when you said Decaranger, it actually reminded me that when hearing the voices of these crystals, it reminds me a lot of, you know, kind of like that Go Under, that Decaranger feel, especially because Red's always calling him partner. So I definitely can see where you're coming from with that. I like when the hot-headed leader type has to integrate into the team. I'd love to see them do it with some other person on the team sometime, like a blue or a black. That would be cool. I don't know, there's not been a lot of Sentai, I think Gekiranger? No, Kyoryuger was the last one that did it, where they kind of introduce another hero later in the game. Well, I guess Ryusoldier did it too, but he was like a villain. I don't know, I just really like having this dynamic and having this group that you really fundamentally know and understand, and then adding a new element to it. It's like you're in the kitchen and you make the same meal again and again and again every night, and then you decided to add, I don't know, like marshmallow to it, and maybe it's good. You know, probably not if you're making pizza, but it could be good in some dishes. Anyway, that's all I have for this episode. I will be back with episode 2, and we'll just kind of go from there. But I'm really liking this. I'm really enjoying this series. I liked Ryusoldier. I got through all of that very slowly, but I did. And it's fun to kind of get into a Sentai that I really, off the bat, am super excited for and really like. And I've been seeing everything on Twitter, where it's going and where it's at. It's cool, I like it. Sorry I haven't been uploading much on the channel. I've been busy. If you haven't seen Let's Talk Toku, go check it out. It's fun, it's cool. You can go check it out on Tokushoutsu on YouTube, or even check it out on Pluto TV on the Tokushoutsu channel. It's kind of cool to see this show that, you know, we're making then get immediately followed up by like Kamen Rider Kuga. That's pretty cool. But leave me a comment what you thought of episode 1. What were your favorite parts? What parts didn't you like? Just keep in mind, don't comment on episodes that are gonna come out later. Just keep it to episode 1 or episode 0. Just keep it there, because I don't want anybody who maybe stumbles onto this video to see your comment and get spoiled. We don't wanna do that. All right, that's all I have. I will see you all later. Bye.